And bam. Okay, we are live. All right, kids. So welcome back to Adobe Xd. So today I'm going to show you two things. So this is the wireframe that we put together yesterday, the very simple mockup with only geometric shapes. This is a more developed one. Okay, this one has got icons, it's got colors, different fonts. There's a logo in the bottom, right? So let's see how we can get from this one to this one. All right. So let's get this guy here, and let's start with the color, shall we? So for the back here, as soon as we select one of our screens, okay, we have all the options on the side here. We have our resolution, which we should not change for now. I'll show you guys how you can change this for good uh, very soon. You can change the orientation here from portrait and landscape. I suggest you keep everything in one um, orientation throughout the whole mockup. Okay. If you have in the future like different screens that portray different like being portrait or landscape, that depends on what you're showing on that screen. Okay. Or you either make the entire app landscape or the entire app portrait. Okay. If you mix screens, that's confusing and it's not good for the user as well. Okay. um, Now the scrolling, we'll get to that later on, so don't worry about it. So let's change the appearance. Down here in the appearance, we have a fill option. Okay, so that's how we change the color. All right. So the color for this one, let's just copy the code across. Hex code. Oh god dang it. Bam. Color done. So let's just bring the color from the other screens as well, real quick. Just copying and pasting the hex codes. All right, so done with the colors. One more time. You click on the screen, then you want to change the color, and then you have an option on the corner here for appearance. Okay, so you can just click here and then pick the color. Not only the color, you can also change the opacity on this corner. Okay. All right. So what's next here? We have the text and we have the icons, right? So for the icons, actually pretty simple. So Adobe Xd being an Adobe software, it communicates and accepts files from other Adobe softwares, right? So if we get here in our project, there's like an Illustrator file that we're not able to bring in, but if it was just like a small Photoshop one, we would be. So in this Illustrator file, I made the icons that I want to put here, which are those ones, each one representing one part of the course. And I saved all of them in PNG, right? So why we do PNG? Because PNG has a transparent background. Okay, so that way when we put over here, it's transparent, the background. Okay, it's not the icon on a white block. Okay, so that means, I mean, of course, you can still grab the pen tool and you can do all your shapes in here if you wish. There's a lot of controls you can have over here. You can just move the edges, you can create shadows, you can do a background, you can change the color, you can change the opacity, you can do a lot of things. But ideally, you should do those in Illustrator and bring in here. Okay. Question here from James. You could try SVG. I haven't tried, but that should work as well. But I believe PNG is a lighter. Okay, so that should be faster to load. Okay. So let's replace those dots here with those icons, shall we? So let's select this screen. Select all the 4 dots, delete, and then turn on our grid. So right click here, show layout grid. Cool. Let's bring this one over here. Oh yeah, of course, gotta make sure that our screen is selected. Bring it in and modify the size to be like that. Yes, the size of a column, and then align with the tab over here. Okay. Let's do the same with all the other ones. Okay, there we go. Right. Now, I have the logo here as well, RGB, also in a PNG file. Okay. So please notice that when I bring in something from the outside, and you put that on the screen, if it doesn't fit, you can see that the outside gets like faded. So basically, when you click away from that screen, you don't see anymore. You can still like hover over and check the box. Okay, but this indicates that this image is in this screen, but it doesn't fit. Okay. And yes, all the icons were made in Illustrator. All right. So let's make this small, bring into this screen. Like this big. Right. Now for the text, let's get rid of those bars. Let's get a text and just simply drag a box. Okay. And then we're going to type in there, graphic design. Okay. To edit text, it's pretty simple. You can just select the text and all of the text options will be here on this side. Okay. So let's start by changing the color. I want it to be white. So let's click on fill and change to white and then hit enter. Okay. Oh, there's a typo. Done. Also, I want to change the font. Oh, wrong bit. Sorry. Here's the font. And I want it to be like a semi-bold. There we go. Cool. Just make it slightly smaller and then align with our icon. Let's turn on our grids to make sure that we're doing it right. Good. And then since we already have this text scheme on, like this font size, this font weight, right? We can just hold Alt, Shift, and then drag down to copy over here, copy over here. Remember, when you drag and copy stuff and you see the pink strips, it means it's all equally spaced. Okay, so let's just organize the spacing a little bit. Perfect. There we go. Yes, you can also add shading. So in here, if you scroll down, there is a shadow. So if you just turn that on, boom, it already has a little bit of shadow in comparison to the other one. You can also do a drop shadow. So this one is film. This one's animation. And this one is interactive design. All right, cool. So what else can we do? Like this bit here is supposed to be black, not gray. So let's just make it black. Just like how we have in our original mockup. Okay. And then let's do this would be our back button. So we can just like type in like very small, like back, like so. And let's make it like very bold, like there you go. And position it in the corner over here. All right, and let's do the same to all other screens. All right, so it's just Alt and Shift over here to this screen, Alt and Shift over here to this screen, and then Alt and Shift over here to this screen. There you go. So this button will take us back to the main screen. Okay. So let's get rid of this one, bring this one over here. Actually, we could like get rid of both of them and just copy this across. Central, there we go. And then here for this one, we can just replace that for some lorem ipsum text that we got out of the internet. Right, now, here's the thing regarding the resolution, okay? Let's create a text box here. And let's drop in our lorem ipsum $CMX. Okay, let's just have that as medium. Okay, so you know in InDesign how if your entire text doesn't fit in a box, you have the very tiny red cross on the corner. So Xd has something similar. If you check over here, there's this very small red button that indicates that your text is way too big for this box. So one thing you can do is if you select your screen and you extend it from the bottom like this, okay, you go and you create a line over here. So this line is your scrolling threshold, okay? Let's bring those blocks down here and let's extend our text to make sure our entire text pops up, shows up, okay? That is way too long. I want it to be that big, so just right here. Cool. So what that does is that it enables scrolling. So if you go and we test, we can now just use our finger to scroll further down into that screen. Okay, so when we test this, we can just scroll up and down to view the entire screen. Okay. I'm not really sure, but I don't think it works if you scroll like if you make it to the side. Okay, because the scrolling is only vertical. All right. So let's prototype and map those buttons properly. So this one goes over here, and then this button goes back here. Okay, let's test it. We click here. There we go. We can scroll, and we can go back. That's good. It's a good idea to know, like you just keep testing as you go. So that way, if you stumble across any bugs on the way, you can fix them right on the spot. You can spot them and fix them right on. Question here, what's an SVG? SVG is a format, save format from Illustrator for you to save icons as individual vector shapes. Okay, so when you're in Illustrator, you can just save as and change the file format to SVG, or you can export as an SVG. I have to double check that, but I believe you export as an SVG, yes. Okay. Right, so the next one here is film. So, no, not like that. Let's just copy that, paste over here, get rid of this, get rid of that, bring this film, like shorten, align to the center. There you go. And then let's just bring the text over here as well. and expand this little bit here. Wait, and just move to the side so we can get this box and bring it down here. Now bring the text back. Align to the center. Align to the center. There we go. Let's do the same thing with the other ones. Align to the center, not at center, just like to your center. There we go. And then just get the interactive design over to this area and just drag it up. And make sure it's centralized as well. There we go. Right. So now let's go and finish mapping our buttons, like working our wireframe. If you remember that, it's actually pretty simple. All you have to do is you go up to the prototype tab, okay, and then you click where you want things to move. Okay, so this back one goes back here, this back goes here, this back goes here. Okay. Also remember that once you click on the screen, you have the option of marking your home screen. So we want this to be our home one, so we just leave this blue house on the corner here on. If you want any other screen to be a home, you select it and then you mark it as a home. But we want this one to be a home screen. So when we start testing, we start from that screen. Okay. So we remember that we can also like stylize all of the transitions. So instead of dissolving, I want this to be push left. I want all of the transitions from the original, from the home page to the course pages to be push left. And then when you go back, they have to be push right. Easy as pie. Okay, so let's see how it goes. Let's test it. Okay, so here's our home screen. So this button, this one, they all seem to be working. So let's go to graph design. Cool. And we can scroll, and then we can go back. Film, can also scroll, go back. Animation, it scrolls, go back. Interactive, scrolls down and goes back. So yeah, everything seems to be working. That's good, right? Yeah, beautiful, right? Okay. Now, when you save it, okay, you can just go Control Shift S and then save. So let's say this is a wireframe V2. That's our second version. Okay, the first one is the black and white one with simple shapes. And then you can also share. So when you share, you can do different kinds of sharing, okay? So ideally, let's go and see how they work. Okay, so development, I know you'll be exporting the code, the code foundation of this prototype that you want to send over to the developers. Okay, now presentation. I want this to be in a new folder. Let's wait for the export. Good. Okay, there's a lot of JavaScript stuff here for us to have a look at. Let's see if it runs. No, it does not. Yeah. Okay. I'll figure out a way of doing it. But just have in mind that I believe if you just save your prototype and send to me, I'll be able to view your work. Okay. Sounds good. Do we have any questions so far? Any questions at this stage? This recording will be up on YouTube very soon. Okay. And if you don't have Adobe Xd installed in your computer at this stage, please let me know and we'll try to figure out a way of getting it running for you. Okay. And once you have it, you can refer back to the recording. Okay. No, you don't have to send anything at this stage. Okay. This is something we will discuss next week for the group assignment. Okay. You don't have to send anything at this stage. Just practice what we did in the video. Okay. Let me stop the recording.